Hello everyone. Welcome to part 3 of our first week's class. We are moving on to Unit 6 today, and we're going to start by practicing listening. But before we start, I wonder if you can tell me, what does this, if you can tell me, what does this phrase mean? Time-saving devices. Okay, you see there's a hyphen there, so time-saving, something that saves time, and then devices. So, time-saving devices are things that save time, right? So can you think of any examples? Think for a minute about what are things in your life that help save time. So for example, dishwashers. Maybe you have a dishwashing machine that washes the dishes for you. That saves time, right? I do not have one. So if you have one, just be grateful. It saves you time. What about washing machines, right? To wash your clothes for you. That's a time-saving device. How about a copy machine, a copier, like a printer that can make copies. Cell phones, maybe time-saving. Computers. There are so many examples. So lots of things in our lives can save us time. Now, let's look at these words, advantages and disadvantages. Okay? What do these words mean? So advantages are, and disadvantages are positive and negative points about something. So an advantage, for example, is a condition or a circumstance that puts someone in a favorable position. So advantages, I'm trying to think of an example. I should have thought of one beforehand. We will explain though as we go on. So advantages, disadvantages. You see disadvantages. Do you remember what that is called? It's something at the beginning of a word that changes the meaning of the entire word. It's a prefix. So disadvantage. If you've got advantages over here, which advantages are things that help you, then disadvantage literally means not advantages, because dis means what? Means not. So disadvantages. So here's an example. I was thinking about Disney World. Disney World in Orlando. Maybe your family goes to Disney World and you have bought a special pass that's like a fast track pass that helps you. You get to go to the front of the line every time. Maybe it's a special, I don't know, you can buy them, or sometimes if you have someone in your family who's in a wheelchair, or if you have young children, I think maybe, then you have the advantage of getting to go first, and so you don't have to wait in line. So then you get to do more things at Disney World because you have the advantage of the fast pass. Okay, so a disadvantage would be you do not have a fast pass, and maybe you have your children walk really slowly, and so you don't get to go as many places in the park that day because you don't have a fast pass and your children walk really slowly. So it's a disadvantage, right? Okay, so here we go. Comment on this video with other words that begin with dis. Try to think of other words that have dis at the beginning that where dis is a prefix that changes the entire meaning of the word. So disadvantage is one. I'm not even going to give you any examples. I think you can think of some, okay? So write a comment right now with some other dis words. All right, so let's get to our actual lesson today. So open your books to page 70. You will see, as we always see at the beginning of the unit, a bunch of pictures, okay? So talk through each picture, or maybe think through each picture while I talk about it. You're looking at the pictures you see in number 1. Repeat. Here's what we can do. Repeat the words after me as we are looking at the picture. So number 1, you see maybe a journalist. Can everyone say journalist? Or a reporter? And you see he's holding, you can see in here, you can see he's holding a microphone. Everybody say microphone. Okay, and he's wearing a jacket. All right, number 2, you see a woman named Mrs. Rosen. Everybody say Mrs. Rosen. Okay, she's also wearing a jacket and a scarf. What else do we see? How many of you know what this is in this picture? This is actually called, well, you can't tell from the picture. This is like a stamp. That black thing is like an ink pad, and then the wooden part is where you stamp it in the ink, and then you can stamp something onto paper. So you'll find out in the story later, but this is actually an address stamper. Everybody say address stamper. You could also say address stamper. I think it's maybe Southerners who usually say address versus address, but it's the same word, means the same thing. You know, address is where you live or like where a location is. So address versus address, it's the same thing. Okay, number 3, you see Mr. Chung. All right, everybody say Mr. Chung. You see he's a man. He's maybe standing in the middle of a city. You see a red light behind him. In the top of page 3, you will find out later that this is supposed to be Mr. Chung writing a letter. You can see the address here, and then dear, and it looks like he's about to write Dear John. So that's number 3. And then number 4, Miss Morales. Okay, everybody say Miss Morales. And it looks like, well, so far all we know is we see Miss Morales, a woman. She has a cell phone in her hands. She has maybe shopping bags on her arms. And then a young girl, maybe her daughter, also has a cell phone in her hands. So then let's talk about what's happening. We'll go back to number 1. So number 1, what do you think the reporter is doing? Maybe he's talking to Mrs. Rosen. And then in number 2, maybe Mrs. Rosen is talking about her address stamper, her address stamper. Number 3, Mr. Chung, it looks like he's writing a letter. Do Do you think he used an address stamper? In this picture, it really looks like he hand wrote the address, okay? We'll find out, I guess. Number 4, what is Miss Morales doing? Looks like maybe she's shopping with her daughter, or she's shopping and texting her daughter. I think it's her daughter. Okay, so here's an important tip before we go on and listen to the story. Did you notice the difference between Mrs. Rosen and Miss Morales? So in American English, and you probably already know this, but in American English, there are 3 different ways, 3 different titles for women. You could either put, well, I'll just do it up here. You could either put Mrs. MRS, you could put the word Miss, MISS, or you could put simply MS period. So do you know the difference between these 3? MRS period indicates a married woman, okay? Miss, MISS, indicates an unmarried woman. But MS period is the best one to use when you don't know if a woman is married or not. So this is probably the most common title if you are addressing a woman. You would say Miss Butterworth. It kind of helps so that you aren't assuming she's married or not. It's the safest one to use in most settings. Okay, so that's just a fun fact. All right, now let's go ahead and listen to the story. So if you remember, some of you know already how to use the QR code. If you'll see right here on page 71, I don't know if you can see that, but the QR code, if you have a cell phone that has a camera, I think this works with most cell phones, although some of you have had trouble with this before. If you open your camera and don't take a picture, but hold the camera over the QR code, it will highlight, the camera will highlight the QR code, and then at the top of your phone, a website, a link to a website will pop up. And so you click on that and it will take you to the audio to listen to the story. If that was a little confusing, please feel free to call me or email me or send me a message on WhatsApp or text me. But if you know that you cannot use the QR code, I can send the link to the audio in WhatsApp, okay? So just let me know if you have any troubles with that, and I will figure out a way to get the link to you. So, while you are listening, be sure to write down, number 1, who are the speakers, and number 2, just a few words about what are they talking about. And then, so you will pause this video, go listen to the audio, and then I would say listen to it again. Don't come back to the video until you've listened to it twice. The first time you write down who are the speakers and what are they talking about. And then the second time, and this is just the way we do it in class, so this is just normal. The second time you listen, you're gonna complete this chart right here where it says listen again. So complete the chart. We have Mrs. Rosen, Mr. Chung, and Miss Morales. So, So for example, you'll see Mrs. Rosen, and then it wants to know which time-saving device did she talk about. If you listen to the audio, she talked about the address stamper. Okay? And then the question is, what is Mrs. Rosen's opinion about the time-saving device? So you can listen to the audio and guess based on what she says and how she says it. You can guess that her opinion is that the address stamper saves time and is a good thing, or it gives her an advantage. Okay? So that's just an example, and you can do the rest for Mr. Chung and Miss Morales. Finally, one thing I wanted to point out before you listen to the audio, the word spam. Mr. Chung talks about spam. I don't know if you know, but when people talk about spam, they're usually talking about, have you heard of junk mail? It's unwanted, it could be physical mail or email, but usually when people are talking about email, it's unwanted emails, maybe advertisements that you didn't ask for. Maybe it's one company that you signed up to receive one thing and they send you coupons and advertisements every single day. That's considered spam. So, just so you know ahead of time before you listen to the story. Okay, I think that's it. So now pause the video and listen to the story twice, complete the chart, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, have you listened to it? Good. All right, so when you listened to it, who were the speakers? We have the journalist, the reporter, Mrs. Rosen, Mr. Chung, and Miss Morales. And then what are they talking about? Basically, they're talking about what are some time-saving devices in their lives, and are they actually, is technology saving time or not? So on the chart, we have Mrs. Rosen, number one, Mrs. Rosen. The time-saving device she talked about was the address stamper, and then her opinion was that it does save time, and that it's a good thing. Okay. Number two, Mr. Chung. All right, what was his time-saving device? Okay, he talked about the computer. But what was his opinion? His opinion was that it wastes more time than it saves. He did not have a very favorable opinion about the computer. And then number three, Miss Morales. What time-saving device did she talk about? She talked about her cell phone. Very good. And her opinion was that it does save her time, but it does not save her money. Okay? All right, very good. Just a moment here. Whew. Okay, we will hurry through this last part. So now let's look at the story in the purple box below. This is a summary. You see? This is a summary of the story we listened to in the audio. Remember, a summary retells only the most important points of a story. Okay, so look with me at the blue-gray word box here and repeat after me, just like we do in class. I'll say the words, you repeat it back. Convenient, devices, distracting, electronic, email, innovative, manual, spam, technology, and text message. Okay. So those are the words, and now you will pause the video and take some time to fill in the blanks with the words from the word bank, okay? So fill in the blanks here with the words from here. All right, pause the video, and when you're done, come back and we will go over the answers. Okay. So, I'm trusting that you have now finished filling in the blanks. I will read the answers, okay? Here we go. Today, a reporter from KESL Radio asked 3 people about technology and their favorite time-saving devices. Number 2 is devices. All right, Mrs. Rosen's favorite device is manual. Do we know what manual means? It means not electronic. It means she does it herself. She says it saves time even though it isn't electronic. Mr. Chung isn't a fan of technology. In fact, he says technology wastes more time than it saves. For example, he says he doesn't like email because it gets lots of spam. He also finds email distracting. He doesn't think it is convenient. Miss Morales loves technology. She uses the camera on her cell phone in a very innovative way to send her daughter pictures of clothes that are on sale. Her daughter sends a message back, buy or don't buy. Okay, very good. And if you have any questions on that, as always, feel free to reach out and ask me. Finally, your homework. Comment on the video and share with me in the class. Do you agree with the people who were interviewed? You see the questions below the summary? That's your homework. So answer, do you agree with the people who were interviewed? Why or why not? And in general, do you think technology saves time or wastes time? And then of course, give examples. Okay, that's your homework. Now we're done with our first class. So see you next time.